Well, now that the Epstein files are going to be released, Congress moves on to bigger and more important matters. Like dudes who like to feel pretty.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
In women's sports.
Bro, what the fuck?
Yes, 130 Democrats are begging,
Hold up,
pleading with the Supreme Court.
Stop it! Please!
To allow dudes with mental illnesses.
It is ma'am.
To continue trashing women's sports.
What, are you retarded?
Priorities. I'm Jasper Gonzo on this. With everything else that's going on in the country right now, Congress's main focus is to make sure men are better being at women.
What?
Than women.
What the fuck?
But it's what's next.
And here we go.
What's up, everyone? Jasper Gonzo, what's next? Your daily dose. Hope you guys are feeling good today on this Thursday. Well, like I said in my intro, now that the Epstein files are going to be fully released and Trump has no problem signing off on it, we're going to get to the bottom of it and figure out why Democrats sat on their ass for 4 years under a dementia patient and said nothing regarding Epstein. So there's that. But we're not here to talk about that. Congress is moving on to more important issues. What are we talking about? Are we talking about the border? Are we talking about inflation? Are we talking about, high prices in goods? Are we talking about trade? Are we talking about foreign policy? No, those all pale in comparison to the most important issue that's going on in the country today. Dudes who like to feel pretty, continuing trashing women's sports. Yes, 130 Democrats are begging, pleading with the Supreme Court to allow dudes with mental illnesses to continue trashing women's sports and erasing their history. Priorities. This, coming from Breitbart. 130 Democrat lawmakers ask Supreme Court to side with trans mental athletes in upcoming cases. And of course, that's Senator Hiromo out of Hawaii. Of course, she's a clown. Anyway, a coalition of 130 Democrat lawmakers are asking the Supreme Court to side with trans mental identifying athletes over biological females, real women, in 2 upcoming cases. The lawmakers, 121 Democrat House members and 9 Democrat senators, filed an amicus brief on Monday in the Idaho case, Little versus Hecox, and West Virginia versus PBJ, which the court will hear in January of next year. They argue that the brief has categorical bans are improper tool to address the participation in youth sport teams and that lawmakers have an interest in protecting the privacy, safety, health, and rights of American people, including students who are trans mental and real women. Categorical bans, such as the bans in West Virginia and Idaho, undermine those protections of the ability of trans mental students to be part of this school community, they wrote. Senator Mazie Hirono out of Hawaii, who helped lead her colleagues in filing the brief, claimed in a press release that the ban not only harms trans mental identifying students, but also subjects women and girls to harassment and discrimination and leads to the policing of children's bodies. So wait. You're saying that this is going to harm trans mental students, but yet you want to protect women and girls from harassment and discrimination. You can't have it both ways. Absolutely fucking not. This contradicts the very purpose of Title IX, ending discrimination in federally funded education programs. These bans are blatant discrimination, and the court should say so, she added. No, they don't. The brief was signed by several far-left nutjobs, such as Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Little Sandy from The Bartender, Ilhan Omar, who's illegal, who should be thrown the fuck out of the country, Rashid Tlaib, another one who should be thrown the fuck out of the country, as well as House Minority Leaders Hakeem Jeffries, yes, Timu Obama, and notably absent from the list was Senator Minority Leader Schmucky Schumer? What? He didn't sign off on this? Something's wrong. The case, Little versus Hecox, surrounded Idaho's Fairness in Women's Sports Act, a law passed by the state legislature seeking to protect women and girls' sports from the incursion of trans mental athletes. The lawsuit was filed in 2020 by trans mental identifying athlete Lindsay Hecox, who wanted to join the women's cross-country team at Boise State University. A lower court ultimately blocked the law, which is similar to more than 24 other laws that have passed around the United States protecting women's sports. Idaho is now asking the Supreme Court to answer whether laws to seek to protect women and girls' sports are limiting participation based on sex, violating the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. In West Virginia versus PBJ, the case surrounding a lawsuit filed by the mother of a trans mental identifying student, Becky Pepper Jackson against a state law barring males from competing in female sports. Yes, if you're a dude, stay in your fucking lane. A lower court blocked the law pending appeal. Now West Virginia is asking the high court to answer whether Title IX prevents a state from consistently designating girls and boys sports teams based on biological sex, and whether the law violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution, i.e. the 14th Amendment. In stark contrast to Democrats' wide-spanning belief that gender identity over biological reality, President Donald Trump signed an executive order on the first day of his second term called Defending Women from Gender Ideological Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government, which states sex is not a synonym for and does not include the concept of gender identity. The erasure of sex in language and policing of corrosion and impact, not just on women, but on the validity of the entire American system. Basing federal policy on truth is critical to scientific inquiry, public safety, morale, and trust in government itself, the order read. Continues. The unhealthy road that is paved by an ongoing purposeful attack against ordinary and long-standing use of understanding biological and scientific terms, replacing the immutable biological reality of sex with an internal fluid and subjective sense of self unmoored from biological facts. Invalidating the true and biological category of women improperly transforms laws and policies designed to protect sex-based opportunities into laws and policy that undermines them, replacing long-standing and cherished legal rights and values with identity-based, incarnate social concepts. The order definition of the sex extends to another executive order from President Trump called Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports. The Trump administration does not interpret Title IX, which prohibits sex discrimination on the education program or activity and receives federal funding to include gender identity. The 6-3 majority conservative Supreme Court has dealt major blows this year to transmental activists pushing for sex changes in minors. Yes, child mutilation, chopping balls off and chopping women's breasts off. Yeah, who cares? Because it's all about feelings. Anyway, and for minors, and alphabet propaganda in schools are more recently appeared skeptical of Colorado's conversion therapy ban. My thoughts. The fact of the matter is that with everything else going on in the country right now, with what I aforementioned at the beginning of this video, that Congress is focusing on continuing men trashing women's sports, men with mental illnesses trashing women's sports, because they don't give up, because it's all about the damn feelings. They don't give up about these girls who are getting, who are fighting hard to win medals, to win titles, to win scholarships, to move on to college and to continue their athletic careers. They don't care. Biggest example of them all happens to be, of course, Riley Gaines, when she swam against a dude who likes to float pretty in Will Thomas. Of course, that kicked off all this nonsensical bullshit that we are going on right now, as Riley Gaines continues fighting for women's sports and protecting women's rights. But as the Democrats, again, they don't give up. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Hit the notification bell so you guys know it's a thing. Continue spreading word about the show. Appreciate you guys watching as always. And we'll see you next time. Peace.